I'm furious now. I run to my friend's mother. I say, did he suffer much? She says, no, it was quick. A car hit him and that was it.
The Jewish tradition wins in stand-up comedy. Make a list of great American stand-ups, and it's Jewish, 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 Jewish.
Being Jewish tends to not really be about religion. One is more likely to worship Woody Allen than God. And so it's really a cultural voice that one is always sort of either channeling or trying to find. And in America, through the way that those from Groucho Marx to Woody Allen, they have defined comedy.
It's a different type of a show than you probably ever saw before. That's why everybody in the world is getting excited about it. First of all, this is a one-man show, which disturbs a lot of people. You know, a lot of people say, who is one Jew to make such a comfortable living? It's all great things throughout history were accomplished by one person working alone. Michelangelo, the greatest painter, in my opinion, who ever lived, was Michelangelo. Why? Next. Because he painted the whole Sistine Chapel all by himself. Took him 30 years because the man was a schmuck.
It was overwhelmingly hot in New York, and all the Jews went to the Catskills. That was like the French Riviera to the Jews on the Lower East Side. As soon as it became warm, the heat was unbearable in the summer. There was very few people had air conditioning, and everybody was sweating. It was unbearable, so everybody knew the Catskill Mountains is the only place to go. That was it. That's where all the Jews were. By the time I was 18, I said to myself, I could probably become a social director in the mountains. I wasn't thinking of being a professional entertainer, but there was such a thing in the mountains. Almost every hotel, regardless of how small they were, even if they had 12 people, they hired a social director to entertain the people day and night in the hotel.
I worked at a place called the Butler Lodge. Any and every comic that I can think of that came out of New York probably did some gigs in the Borscht Belt. I remember I got up and I did my opening, you know.
What was your opening?
Good evening, ladies and Jews. I met a beautiful girl last night, but she was skinny. I mean, this was a very thin girl. I took her to a restaurant. She was so thin that the maitre d' said, check your umbrella, sir. And that was my opening. And the minute I did it, I heard, I just cupped my ear and listened very closely. Oh, English, English, oh, English. They were so unhappy. And I had no idea. I had one or two Yiddish jokes, and I forget what they were, and I did them, and they cheered as if we won World War II or something, you know, just so they understood it. But
when you started to perform or tell jokes, did Jewish humor come out of that, or the humor that they shared, you shared?
There's certain things that might be peculiarly Jewish about certain kinds of humor, the self-effacing humor, about the comedy about being persecuted, rejected, an outcast, plays on words or thoughts, ideas, and very seldom doing the physical crazy comedy that the Gentiles do.
When a Gentile walks into a restaurant, they're very nervous. They walk in like, how do you do? May I sit down? May I sit down? How long should I wait? 9 years? Why not? 9 years is okay. You ever see how a Jew walks into a restaurant like a partner? Hello! Let me see my table.
All small groups, you know, the Irish, the Jews, all small groups evolve a particular kind of comedy out of their persecution. The Jews have done it particularly well, perhaps because they've been more universally persecuted than anybody else. And partly what you do is you get mastery over your fate by making fun of yourself. And when you make fun of yourself, I've often described it as a form of masochism, when a masochist will, you know, knows that there's trouble coming, so he organizes it.
No matter which table you show him, you call this a table for a man like me? I don't sit so close to a wall, so far from a window. My wife don't like to face this way, I don't like to face that way, we don't like to face this way.
You anticipate what's coming, you make a joke out of what's coming, you've won, you're in charge. And you've won, as it were, intellectually. So and then Jews love that particularly.
It takes them 3 hours to pick out a table, then they start a whole new fight. Why is it so drafty here?
Because there were so many Jews, I guess, in entertainment, I grew up with British Jewish jokes. To Ronnie's, it's the end of the world has happened, and the religions, there's only the Jews and the Mormons left, and they're going to join together as a religion, and their headquarters is going to be in Salt Beef City. You know, that's a proper hardcore Jewish joke.
A joke, when it's well told, is not confined to the group. That's mainly what you want it to do. You know, can you make it leap out? Can you make it leap over the wall of your community into everybody? And the great ones can.
Good evening, my people! And you know, Omid is a very powerful name in Iran. You know, Omid means hope. It's just a shame that Jalili means less.
Does being an immigrant give you an advantage, you think?
I don't know if it gives me an advantage. There's certainly, if a lot of great comedy comes from pain, I think certainly I've had my fair share of pain as a child and as an adolescent, and the confusion I've had. I'd gone from being quite proud to be Iranian to suddenly all the images coming out of Iran of people like slapping their heads, and there was a very strong, violent feeling from Iran that Islamic fundamentalism, and it was a negative image. So starting off doing comedy and talking about my Iranian culture seemed quite healing.
Ayatollah Khomeini, he wrote a book about what you can do and what you can't do in the Islamic Republic of Iran, okay? Iranians back me up on this. Page one says, the sweat of a man, that's the sweat of a man who has had sexual intercourse with a pig is impure. After sunset. That's the big one.
A lot of Iranians would then say, why are you making fun of your culture? You should be, and there were so-called Iranian intellectuals who would say, you should be talking about how great 3,000-year civilization, the Persian Empire, why are you making fun of our culture? And so I stopped using that particular cab firm.
Someone said, oi, in the Middle East, have you got an institution like the Samaritans? I said, what do you mean? Like, if you get depressed, want to kill yourself, who do you call? I said, of course we got the Samaritans. We don't call it the Samaritans. In the Middle East, we call it a recruiting center. People call up saying, I want to kill myself. Very good. Very good. There's a bus leaving in 10 minutes. Could I have your waist size, please? That's so wrong, but so funny.
I think just by talking about Iran in a comedic context was quite a powerful thing, because I think the British psyche is if you make fun of yourself, you must be all right. So if there's an Iranian representing Iranians and they can be ironic, they must be okay.
They all seem to operate en bloc. They're even a good crowd or a bad crowd. Even, they were a bit slow. They were a bit slow. Well, these people have got varying educational ability. How can they all be a bit slow on the joke? Often when you play in old theatres, there's that hole in the curtain that actors have put in there to have a look what the crowd's like. And if you look out and there's, 6 fat blokes in football shirts, you're thinking, oh, well, maybe I won't do my Bernard Levin material.
Is this taking you back, madam?
Do you ever get nerves?
Terrified. Still do. I mean, really terrified. I have to not drink the night before, or have don't get drunk, for heaven's sake. Don't have a hangover. Why are you hitting your dog? You won't believe it, officer. He fucking ate my tax disc. Now, unless I've been doing the show 10 or 12 times, I'll be really, really nervous. Dry mouth, dry six, shaking.
So anyway, what am I fucking talking about? I get very anxious. I've even sought help about it. I went to see some shrinks about it and to get pills and things for it, and it was getting out of control because the biggest symptom is you just forget everything. Before I left New York to come here, I was...
He walked right into it.
I know there was a time at the beginning I was so shit scared of hecklers.
What's that? You've got a cock in your mouth, sir. I suggest you take it out. Then we can hear what you're saying.
But now I think it's important to not be open to it in the sense that you encourage it, but if people shout things they want to communicate, it's because they want to say something to you, and it's very good to just listen. I think as a comedian, it's not about just getting... you've got two channels in your head. One is to do your material, and then the other one is to live in the moment. So if someone wants to say something, let them say it.
What's the difference between heckling and a dialogue with your audience?
A dialogue? I don't want a dialogue.
You don't do dialogue.
I talk, they laugh. That's it.
How do you deal with the hecklers?
One of my chaps goes over and has a word in his ear.
Oh, sounds scary to me.
Well, it is scary, yeah. But you've got to stop it. It's no good shouting with them. First of all, if that guy's heckling me, no one else can hear what he's saying. I'll be wasting my time trying to think of a smart-ass answer to talk to him. All that people will see is the top of my head. I tell all the young comics who speak to me, don't do hecklers.
I loathe hecklers. I haven't one good syllable to say about hecklers. When you've come out of the club circuit and all that, and you're in the concert hall and you're good at what you do and you're a storyteller, they should be gone. There's an element of manners should take over, right? The ticket's dear, it's a different venue. People have had a bath to come here. Sit down, shut up and listen.
How we doing? Yeah, that's a good start. If we can answer the basic questions this evening. It's a wee tryout show for stand-up for the week, so if the jokes are funny on a boat, they're funny on the telly. Balls back in my court.
I always like to have a look at the audience to see whether there's people that might, fit certain routines. If you're doing it in a small room like a pub and there's only 5 people there and their faces are right in front of you, that's when it's the most terrifying, because as soon as something doesn't work, you know about it instantly because you've got 5 people staring at you in silence, and I find that terrifying.
Good evening, everyone. Are we well? Yeah, thanks very much for coming out, seeing the show. As Kev said earlier, there's football on, which is good, actually, as a comic, because I can instantly get a gauge of exactly who we've got in the audience. All the men that did art and drama at school, and then women that are thoroughly in control of their relationships. Yo, Mark Sturgeon, I'll watch the Champions League with some of the lads. No, you won't. You'll be coming with me to the boats, because I've got your dick in my fucking handbag.
You've just arrived, out of your teens into this scenario. You've been sort of really more or less, you gave up university.
Yeah.
History of art, you gave it about 3 minutes and then moved on.
I'd already started doing stand-up on stage, and I got the bug. There were, every lecture that I sat in, everything that I thought, I was like, why would I want to do this? I've been on stage, I've done stand-up. That is the most amazing thing. This is boring.
What I like about Britain's Got Talent as well is it's you see these like little rural versions of it. The best one I've ever seen, Yeoville's Got Talent. Massive poster on the town hall. Last year's winner were a set of twins. I asked the woman in the pub, what was their talent? Spit an image of each other, but they were a different person. That's not strictly a talent, is it?
I'm completely out of my comfort zone when I'm trying out new material. I'll be overtly aggressive in my delivery and sort of oversell them, and often swear a lot as well, without meaning to. And you sort of use all these things to veil the fact that you're not confident in the joke yet.
Some of the shows that I like are getting ruined. Midsomer Murders, I fucking love Midsomer Murders. I can't watch it now because if I do, I'm a racist. Midsomer Murders, right? They said they need to get more black people in the village of Midsomer. Well, that's a tough gig, isn't it? Being the first black person there. Every time there's a murder, getting hauled in for questioning. Do you know why you're here, sir? Is it because I'm black? Yes. Do you have an alibi where the murder happened? I was being held in a cell for last episode's murder, which happened when I was on holiday.